Hey everyone, it's Jakov, and I'm here today with another video for Total War the Dawnless Days. Today's video being a battle replay of me leading a bronze tier army of dwarves against an equivalent strength army of goblins played by the PC. Today's video is meant to be a battle replay that's designed to show you what potential early game army builds can look like when you're playing as the dwarves of Erebor, and what type of army you can be expected to face off against. I've been doing this for a lot of the other factions in the game, and I plan to continue to do this a lot of the other factions in the game too. So yeah, guys, there we have it. We'll actually start by looking at the Erebor force. We'll put the video into slow motion, and we'll check them out. So, looking at their army on these green hills, we've got a unit of the Dwarven Range Travellers. This is their bronze tier archer unit, pretty basic. Gave them one of those. We also gave them a unit of the Erebor Axe Throwers, a very unique unit who, as the name suggests, throw axes at enemies, a very useful skirmisher unit. Then in their front lines we've got a unit of the Dwarven Miners, another beginning unit, who are very much less warriors and more just conscripted miners. Then we've got a unit of the Dwarven Company, which is their bronze tier swordsman unit, very good as well. We've got two of those. And then for their general unit, we've got the Iron Guards, which are a heavy spear unit that come from the Iron Hills, which can only be recruited at limited numbers. So yeah, there we have it. My headcanon for this battle is that a small company of dwarves, specifically like not even soldiers, not even really a company, but more so, I guess you could say a company, like a travelling group or a caravan of dwarves was marching, including amongst their ranks a couple soldiers, a couple hunters, a couple miners, and they happened to be set upon by goblins. Speaking of which, over here we have the goblin army, and in their front lines we've got a unit of the goblin scrappers, their beginning axe infantry, very light. Then we've got the Snaga javelins, their skirmishers. Behind them we've got more goblin light infantry, who, as the name suggests, really are lightly armoured, given that they're almost completely unarmoured. And then we've got the goblin warband, a unit of their beginning spearmen. And that's pretty much what their army is comprised of. All just low tier goblins, which makes sense. It is again a beginning goblin force, and as such it is quite small numerically, in the same way that the Erebor force is fairly small, and as armies and factions progress, their armies become bigger and more elaborate. And then for their general unit, they've got the High Chieftain's Guard, who look amazing in their bronze rusting armour. Yeah, kind of bears a bit of a semblance to the Statue of Liberty, if you know the history about that. Now, this is actually, I think, the first video that I've made since the Rings of Power came out, and I want to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. Personally, if I was just someone watching it who hadn't seen anything to do with Tolkien, or hadn't read the Silmarillion, or knew what happened in the appendices of Lord of the Rings, and didn't really have too much of an idea of the world, I think it'd be fairly passable. As it is, knowing what I know of the books and the wider world, it's quite off-putting. So yeah, guys, just let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. I'm very interested to see if other people like it, if they don't like it. Personally, I'm going to give it to House of the Dragon over the Rings of Power as my favourite fantasy adaptation of this year. Still intending on watching it, but it's not exactly the most pressing thing at mind for me when it comes to entertainment. Although I do wonder who Medial Man is. If you guys have any suggestions, leave those down in the comments specifically. I'm really hoping it's not Gandalf. That'll be such a cop-out. Anyway, looking at the formations taken up by the dwarves, they've picked a very good defensive spot. They've taken position on top of this hill, which gives them a bit of range, and it means the enemy has to come uphill towards them. Yeah, looking at the balance of power, the dwarves are outnumbered 2 to 1, if not more so. And the first little bits of archer fire begin. We begin to see a couple of them drop. They're about to crest the hill, so the archers are falling back, but the axe thrower is getting closer, getting ready to release, because as skirmishers they've got a shorter range. And both forces begin to retreat. I just like this dark blob, this amorphous army just approaching. There's something about it, like with little hints of red here and there. And battle begins. Completely missed it because of my mouse. So they're trying to swing around this side. And the Dwarven range travellers are right there, so now would be a perfect time to begin shooting, as it's time for the Erebor axe throwers. The Dwarven miners are deployed from reserve, smashing right into their flanks, and we'll see what a pickaxe can do to a goblin skull. Come on, decapitate an orc. I see some of the miners dying. Pretty brutally as well. Just getting shanked by goblins. Anyway, that's beside the point. Moving out, yet they've engaged across the line, and now the Dwarven range forces are swinging around to open up fire into the enemy flank. Very smart. Of course, it's smarter with me doing it, but still, like, it's just taking advantage of the major opportunities. And here we see them coming. The hundreds of axes. And again, the same thing applies to this video as do most of the battle replays of me against the computer. Because they are more demonstrative than anything else, don't expect a lot of like high tier play or anything like that. It's very much me just using the simplest solutions to win battles. So yeah, here you can see just how deadly these axes are. And already you can tell the difference in quality between the dwarves and the goblins, in that even though they are both like starting out armies, one is very much a rabble force. The skirmishers approach, begin throwing axes into the flanks of the retreating enemies, and the Dwarven company charge. One issue that I've got with the early tier Dwarven units is that they do really look identical to one another. Makes it difficult to tell who's who. The Iron Guard have deployed into battle, just carving their way through with their spears. So we'll pull out a bit just so we can see the overall carnage. As you can tell, just the serried ranks of the dwarves standing in sharp contrast to the orcs who are very much goblins, who are very much disorganized in their advance. Looking at the balance of power, it's very much evening out. The Dwarves have barely lost 100 soldiers, the Goblins have lost 800. However, because the Goblin General has joined the battle, they are, the High Chieftain's Guard, are quite a bit of a cut above the Dwarven company. I love that, seeing as the Goblins use old, like salvaged Dwarven equipment in battle against the Dwarves. Sword straight to the head. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but can you see sometimes the outlines on the units? Does anyone have an idea why that is happening? And sorry if I'm not offering... Oh, wow. They killed one. A Dwarven miner, not even a soldier, hacked a High Chieftain's guardsman to death. It's pretty good. So going back to what I was saying, the reason I'm not offering a lot of commentary here is letting the battle speak for itself, as the Dwarves lead a major charge downhill, is I want to comment on what's really occurring, as it's important, but if it's just pure battle, that's all that's really occurring. Can't really give too much commentary. And also I don't want to bore you with the sound of my own voice too much. The Erebor Axel is engaged and on the point of shattering. Yeah, the Snarger Javelins have been deployed on and off, but they haven't really made that much of an impact, which is to their detriment, honestly, because those Javelins are quite lethal. Still the fighting continues. We're looking at the balance of power, and finally the manpower is actually about to match one another. It's pretty apparent which side's probably going to come out of this on top. And there they go. The marauding Goblin force, which tried its best to attack the Dwarven Convoy, has found itself bested. And there you guys have it, specifically a Pyrrhic victory for Erebor. Anyways, we're going to finish the replay, we're going to check out the unit stats and see how both sides did. So, looking at the Erebor army, half the size of the Goblin force, and suffered pretty much 50-50 casualties. Quite a lot, but in comparison, the Goblin force suffered 2/3 of its army dead. Looking at the Erebor force, the general unit, the Iron Guards, got 73 kills, barely suffered any casualties, it's quite great. 245 kills for this unit of Dwarven Company, completely amazing, although it did suffer quite grievously to the point it doesn't exist anymore for all intents and purposes. This other unit of Dwarven Company did way better, and I say way better with quotation marks, because getting 245 kills is amazing, but getting 379 and coming out of it with a bit of your unit surviving is even better. The Dwarven Miners are 183 kills, which is pretty good. The Dwarven Range Travellers got 61 kills and barely suffered any casualties. And the Erebor Axel has got 341 kills and lost most of their unit in the process. A absolutely valiant effort by this unit, especially given that a significant amount of those kills were also made in melee combat when they close with the enemy. Yeah, overall I'd say the MVPs by far was this unit of Dwarven Company and the Axe Throwers, although really all of the units pulled their weight in one way or another. Then turning to the Goblin Force, not so much. The High Chieftain's Guard got 105 kills, which is pretty good. However, they were deployed late in the battle, which did influence their ability to kill and like how much time they had available to kill my forces. This unit of Goblin Light Infantry got 9 kills, which is very pitiful. This one got 76 kills, which isn't too bad for light infantry. Like, they are meant to beat enemies by swarming, and they were very much swarming. But even the lightest of foes can prove a bit of a challenge if you're facing them head on instead of like surrounding them and killing them that way. But yeah, 76 kills, it's not too bad. 59 for the Goblin Scrappers. Not great, but you know, it's passable, I guess. 27 kills for this unit of Goblin Scrappers, not good. 84 kills for the Goblin Warband is surprising, given that you think the Spearmen, the unit that are meant to pin and hold enemies rather than kill them, would score less than the actual offensive infantry, but nope, they scored the most. This other unit got 6 kills, which is far more in line with what I suspected, which, that's a horrible score. And then the Sniper Javelins got 39 kills, and were the only unit to come at it with most of their force alive. I think had the PC done a bit more skirmishing and specifically maneuvering with these guys, like trying to get them around my flanks, it could have proven a disaster, but instead they kind of held back, which kind of doomed the unit to fail. And yeah, well, there we have it, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this battle replay. If you have, rest assured more like it will be coming up in the future, both for this mod and for Last Alliance Total War. If you have enjoyed the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. I know it might not seem like much to you, but for such a small channel, it is massively appreciated. I really want to try and hit 1,000 subs sometime soon. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we just hit 150 by my last count, but hopefully we can get that 10 times its number. I'll leave it to you guys. Anyways, this is your host Jakov, signing out.